Welcome to the May 2014 edition of Inside Rice University. This is the Oshman Engineering Design Kitchen, also known as the OEDK. The OEDK is a place for Rice undergraduates to design, prototype, and deploy solutions to real-world engineering challenges. Each spring, the projects are on display at the Brown School of Engineering Design Showcase and Poster Competition.
This is our School of Engineering Design Showcase. Five of our engineering design teams, students from freshman through senior year, are presenting their design projects to judges as well as to their peers and to the community.
The problem that we're trying to solve is to test for severity in patients with cerebral palsy. And so what we decided to do was put everything that you need in this one little peg.
Our project is for research to investigate including touch feedback in prosthetic devices.
So we're working with Virtuix to make virtual reality military training simulation.
What we're actually making is a product mainly for consumers actually, so that way to help them so that they don't forget their babies in the car.
The Design Showcase, if you look around here, the giant just representation of all the amazing things that Rice students can do. I mean, we have 85 projects here. The topics are everywhere from, having video games to cerebral palsy to trash cans. And the diversity is amazing, and I think it just shows not just what Rice students can do, but what Rice lets us do.
And our final award, Excellence in Engineering Design, first place, also a $5,000 award, and it goes to Dexcellence.
We went to an engineering high school together, the Science Academy of South Texas in Mercedes, and we roomed together freshman year. And when we saw this big engineering showcase our freshman year, we were like, one day we're gonna really get onto a senior design team together. We passed that hurdle the second week of classes, and then we were like, our goal is to be the winners of this big showcase, and then today we're walking away with that prize. So something that we've kind of seen for the last 4 years.
I think it's been an awesome journey that we've taken together for the last 4 years. And even before that, so friends till the end, right? Win or lose, hopefully today we won.
The Design Showcase features mostly seniors, but this year it was a team of Rice freshmen who made a distinct contribution to our community. 4 freshmen helped a local Special Olympian beam on the balance beam.
Let's stand. We're going to salute the judge first. You ready? And go. Jump up. Many people wouldn't even think for Macy to be a gymnast. And so for us to be able to put her in a situation that many people wouldn't think she would even be capable of doing, and put her in a situation where she is capable of doing something and not presuming that she's not able to do something. It gives her the confidence and the self-esteem that's important for her to be a person. Lift your knees up, Macy, show how strong you are. Lift your knees up.
Macy does the gymnastics program, Special Olympics. She's been doing it since she was about 7, and she's almost 11. She's globally developmentally delayed, so she has a lot of motor planning issues, and gymnastics has really helped with that. It's kind of like therapy, but with peers and other kids, just having fun.
So she does Special Olympics, and she can do every event independently for the most part, except for balance beam. This one was entirely her on her. She had to be helped. And we were tasked with coming up with an idea that would help her do this independently. We came up with a walker because it was simple and we could build it, because there's ideas we had to hang above her, beside her, all kinds of different things. But a walker is something she's actually used in the past, and when we heard that, we thought she would maybe be able to do this a lot easier.
Good job. Just seeing how much Macy loves it. I know when we came the first time, it was a question of whether or not the walker was going to work on the mats and if it was going to slip away from her or if she just wasn't going to like it. And so when she got the walker and she said that she loved it, that was just immediately all the work we'd done was so much worth it.
came to Texas for Rice, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made because Rice turned out to be a community that was so loving and so, you know, like willing to volunteer and help so many other people. And then, you know, I come to a class where I'm engineering and I'm just like, well, this is what I really like to do. I love engineering, you know. And then we come and we are pitched a project where it's, hey, let's help out with this community that needs this, you know, they need the help.
I'm learning a lot. I didn't really know what I want to do with my life. I really like science and math, and I thought engineering might be something that's interesting to do, but I wasn't really sure, so this class is letting me see like what I can do when I try to make something or when I work with a team and how like I can help people.
The world is not set up for her to do things, a lot of things all by herself. Even shutting a car door can be difficult for her sometimes just because of the weight of it and her strength. So for her to be able to get on the beam and do it without someone holding her hand, just so she can be independent. She doesn't have to have an adult with her. Oh, I got teary-eyed because at first it was a little bit difficult for her, but then she just took right to it.
Awesome. Arms up. Good job.
What do you think of your team that built this for you? Are you pretty happy?
Mm-hmm.
What will it do for you?
Help me walk.
Yeah, and you like to walk by yourself, right? Are you pretty happy with your team?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to tell your team?
Thank you.
At the forefront of education stands a small school with a big story. One of pioneers, leaders, and entrepreneurs, of Oscars, Pulitzers, and Nobel Prizes. A story of the world's most brilliant minds working together to challenge convention, making discoveries that will change the course of history, and innovations that will change everything. Rice University, advancing the world with unconventional wisdom.
Welcome back to Inside Rice University. Today, we're inside the OEDK. This is where our engineers reimagine tomorrow using high-tech tools like 3D printers and plasma cutters. The students, mentored by professors and staff and partnered with industry professionals, create some really cool stuff. Here are some of the senior design projects that made headlines this spring.
We are Team Jedi Putter. This is Jedi Putter, and it is the first ever multi-sensory real-time feedback training putter. It's aimed at beginning and intermediate golfers to help them learn a consistent putting stroke. So we have an ARM processor on board in the putter head, and then we also have a 9-axis sensor, accelerometer, gyroscope, and magnetometer that will be taking data in 3 different axes about your swing. We're kind of making it so that it's like a flat base.
Okay.
And so you can like see a green LED in there, and then when you go off path this way, you'll see a purple LED, and then you'll see a red LED if you come off path that way. So I guess.
So I'm trying to like keep it like more upright.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh, you just want to yeah. So did it vibrate during that putt?
No.
Ah, okay. So that's good.
Yeah.
So there are 4 things that we look for in a good putt. The time of your backswing should be twice as your downswing. Also, you want a straight putting path, which means you want to go straight back and straight forward. And also you want to hit like right in the center of your putter face at a 90-degree angle. We provide feedback in all these categories.
So putting is about half of all strokes in a game of golf, and beginning golfers really struggle with the putting stroke because it's not taught very scientifically. And if putting is half of all your strokes, you want to find a way to improve that stroke and improve your game and improve your score. And so there's a huge market. Golf is over $5 billion market. And putting is a huge growing component of that. It makes a lot of sense to try to attract that market to this product.
We're a team white mural. And we are making a system that allows the online clothing shoppers to visualize how the garment will look on them before they make the decision to buy it or not.
We are experienced online shoppers ourselves, and when we buy garments online, sometimes we really don't know which color or which size fits us the best. So we think it would be really cool if we can have a virtual fitting room.
So first we need a customer's input, which is the customer's 3D body model. And then through our system, we will learn once the customer chose a garment that he or she wants to try on, our system will calculate how that garment will fit the given body model, which is the customer's real body model.
I hope it can change the whole apparel industry, because right now one of the problems the industry is facing is that they cannot move the offline shopping to online shopping, and I think that our project can really fix or address this problem. So this is my necklace. So it has potential on it. So I think I bought this necklace because I think that we have potential.
Our team is called Team Space Ring. We are set out to develop a multifunctional heat exchanging system for future space habitat. So right now on the International Space Station, all electronics need a separate cooling system to keep them at their functional temperature. And all the heat from the electronics are radiated into deeper space and are completely wasted. On the other hand, the space station spent a very big budget on power generation from solar panels. So we were motivated to develop a system that can capture the wasted heat and then extract power out of it to supplement the power usage on this space station or any space habitat that we might have in the future.
In our design, hot water comes through the inner pipe in here, and the outer pipe, the outer casing holds the cold water, and inside are thermoelectric generators, and so they make use of the temperature difference between the hot fluid and the cold fluid, and they generate power. And so over here we have our electronics box, and the power is outputted into the electronic box, and we can also input power from the electronics, and that would cause the thermoelectric generators to have a cooling function instead, and so that would allow us to cool the system if we need to.
It's just a heat engine. It's like any heat engine. You have a power source in terms of heat, just like your car, and you convert it into some other form of energy, and in our case, it's electricity.
The Solar Car team is a student organization, not a part of any design course at Rice. And basically, we get together, we design, build, and race solar vehicles.
So the car is the RSC Apollo, and it is powered by solar power. We actually have about 53 solar cells sitting on the back of the car, and that'll help charge a battery. So it's actually an electric vehicle, so it doesn't run on any gas or any fossil fuels, and it runs purely on electric transmission. It's actually a really light car designed to go really far based on just the solar power or whatever charge we store in the battery beforehand.
This car is made mostly of composite materials, so what I have here is carbon fiber, because it feels kind of like typical fabric. It's kind of soft and smooth. But anyways, how this works is you take a mold, so a female mold, so if you can imagine like a hot tub or something, more or less an inside-out version of a car. And you wet the fiber with resin, which is basically a special type of glue. You lay it into the mold, and then you sandwich it between this material called Nomex, like so. Usually you don't fold it, you cut different strips, but it's the basic idea. And you cure it under a vacuum bag. So you bag the whole thing and you pump it down to vacuum. And so that exerts atmospheric pressure on the whole mold. And in this way, you're able to have this really nice complex curves that you might see on top-of-the-line aerodynamic vehicles and things like that.
So that was really fun and interesting, just trying to get that technique perfected. Aside from that, it is an electric vehicle, and we are required to design our motor controller, so we've been working hard to get it out there and optimize it.
You actually get to build a car, that's fun.
Woo! Yeah! Woo!
Oh my God! I really enjoy it because, well, A, you get a lot of interaction with people, friends, and you learn how to work in a team. You learn how to deal with problems, because let me tell you, problems arise a lot. It's not like, you know, in class, you just, you know, here's the answer, you're done. Things are always very dynamic whenever you're working on some giant type of project like this. And I think you learn a lot. You learn a lot about how hard engineering really is, like in the real world. You learn about how, you know, there's always going to be things you're going to have to, you know, try and optimize. Like, it's never going to be perfect. You just got to make it do, like, have it work and be okay with it.
That's perfect. It's so loud in here. Oh my gosh.
It's not destroying us as much as it's putting us through a crucible and making us stronger. At least that's how I like to think about it. Although we do spend hours pretty much every day and not a few all-nighters, I feel like it's worth it in the end. I've gained a ton of experience and knowledge over the past year, and in the end we built a car. Not many people can say that.
Who knew concrete could be permeable, filtering rain into the soil instead of our lakes and streams? Or that a mathematical equation could open our ears to music we've never heard? Or that a happy home could cost less than a family car? Who knew we could build an elevator to space? Rice, unconventional wisdom.
Many of the projects at the OEDK are health-related. Bioengineering at Rice combines engineering with biology to create medical devices. This year, our bioengineering teams created projects that can help everyone from infants to the elderly.
The flat bank actually is kind of a child of how current mixing is happening in the NICU. So nurses currently will just take the bag and they'll flip it every so often. We just basically expanded on that technique and decided to automate it.
We're Team NutriFlow. We're a senior design team at Rice University composed of bioengineering and global health students.
Almost 10% of infants are actually born premature and will need this enteral feeding, which is what the kangaroo pump is doing right now. But our kind of status quo right now is that while you're trying to feed these infants with the pump, you'll lose about 50% of the fat in a mother's milk, which actually won't reach the infant. So along with that, you end up losing a lot of the nutrients that bind to it and actually some of the immune boosting proteins.
The key to improving the fat delivered to the baby through our device is keeping the milk moving. So again, what we have here on our device is we keep the milk moving in both the bag and also through the tubing. This works in two big ways. We mix the milk in the bag by using an inverter here, which mixes about 3 times every 3 minutes. And also, once every 5 minutes, we have a recirculating loop that takes the milk from the bag that's been freshly milked and brings it around a loop here to keep it moving throughout the tubing, bringing it closer to the infant. Through this, we're not really affecting the milk in any way. We have no components that are touching the milk. The milk remains at room temperature throughout the duration of the feed. All we're doing is really just keeping it moving and improving the fat content in it.
We were just able to talk to some doctors and nurses just last week at Texas Children's and showed them our device. And so many of them were very excited that we were addressing this problem because it's never really been addressed. And so for those infants that are really sick and really small and they need all of the fat that's in that breast milk, if they can receive all that fat and grow, then they'll have such a healthier future than those infants that are using the old technology that they might miss out on 50% of the fat that's in the breast milk.
Team BillyQuant is a senior design team at Rice University working to develop a low-cost jaundice diagnostic for the developing world. Our project is sponsored in part with Rice's Beyond Traditional Borders program, which is a global health technologies development initiative. And clinical partners in the field, namely in Malawi, have long asked for a jaundice diagnostic. This is important because jaundice is a disease that affects infants worldwide. Actually, 60% of all infants have jaundice. And what jaundice is the accumulation of a certain protein in the blood, bilirubin, which is what we're seeking to measure, which is why our team name is BillyQuant.
We have a two-component approach to jaundice diagnosis. First is a paper-based cuvette that we have developed. And so what the user does is takes a drop of blood and spots it onto this piece of paper. And the blood will separate out into whole blood and plasma. From the separated plasma, we can then measure the absorbance of the protein bilirubin. So what happens is the user inserts the cuvette into the device, and these lights, these LEDs, will shine through the sample. And some of the light will be absorbed by the sample, but the remaining light will be read by these photodetectors. And the photodetector's signal will be sent through a printed circuit board and some signal processing into an Arduino microcontroller. And from that, we've developed some equations that can be used to convert the signal into a meaningful bilirubin concentration that a clinician can use to make a diagnosis.
This is a really unique aspect in the sense that we can measure bilirubin right at the bedside without using a centrifuge or any other major lab reagents that may not be available in the developing world.
I think the first question is that thing really going into my urethra? And of course we have to say yes, but at least it's not surgery.
We are Team Evacuator, a senior bioengineering team at Rice University. And this year we were tasked to design a biomedical device to remove blood clots from the bladder transurethral.
Older adults have blood clots inside their bladder. There are two main options. One is surgery, which is really costly and just unappealing to older adults and general population. And the other non-invasive or minimally invasive technique is using this syringe and catheter. So what happens is they insert this catheter through the urethra and blow up the balloon at the end and secure it at the neck of the bladder. And then they fill this syringe up with saline solution. And what they do is basically they just pump this saline solution in and hope that the force of that saline solution when it hits the blood clot breaks it up. And then they also pull back on it, so hopefully those repeated cycles of irrigation and suction will be enough to break up the clot. But the problem is this procedure is kind of like sucking Jell-O using a straw, so it's pretty ineffective and it just generally doesn't work. We've been tasked with creating a minimally invasive solution that uses the urethra to remove blood clots from the bladder.
So this is our first, I guess, conceptual prototype of our clot slayer device. Well, normally, this will be inserted into the catheter, and this end will be inside the bladder. And so this, our little cup here, represents the bladder, and then the Jell-O represents our blood clot. Blood clots have a general, I guess, similar consistency as Jell-O, so just assuming we're already inside the bladder, and then you just run this a couple of times, and it'll take about not even a minute to get it down.
A lot of patients do suffer from blood clots in the bladder, and it's caused by anything ranging from urinary tract infection all the way to cancer. And so this is something that's very serious. I mean, if left untreated, these blood clots could actually lead to kidney failure. And I think for us to be able to come up with a device that successfully breaks up blood clots into small slivers, I think that's a very big step forward when it comes to medical devices in this area. It really allows patients to really avoid a lot of complications associated with blood clots in the bladder. And I feel like that's where our device is special.
It's a dancing sun. Have you ever seen the sun dance?
Each child has different issues, so we might be working on something different with each child.
What are you doing? Are you teasing me?
With Brooke, she had a bleed in her brain when she was born. She was very premature, and she doesn't use the right side of her body as well as the left side of her body.
Oh, you're gonna put in there?
The ladder simulates a floor ladder, kind of like they would use in football, where you have to step over these obstacles to get to the end. It gives them an actual challenge, so they can't drag their feet, they can't just kind of walk through it, they really have to lift their knees and step over it.
At the beginning of the semester in NG120, we were pitched this project of helping the therapists at PTC by developing a device to replace what they called lily pads, which ended up being these half-inflated rubber discs that just weren't meeting their needs. But when we actually came and talked to the therapists here at PTC, we realized they actually wanted to replace this floor ladder system that they have. Their floor ladder is currently falling apart. It's really old. They can't stand it up. the kids can take out the slats, and it just doesn't meet the adjustability that they require for the kids here.
We created a floor ladder for the Pediatric Therapy Center in Houston to help children with disabilities learn to walk on uneven surfaces.
Now go red. Good. Get your foot in there. Good. Yellow. Nice. Keep going. Yellow. Pick your foot up. Get it in the yellow. Yay! All right. I love the red and yellow colors. How about you, Brooke? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. All right, step out, bud. You can do it. See? Yay! You're a superstar.
I've been working on it for a whole year up till now, and it's just so touching to see a little kid using our device and taking those little steps and working really hard, and it's like those little steps will eventually help them probably take bigger steps in the future.
Most of our team is doing engineering, so we have a Mechie, a Bio-E, we have a Civi, we have a Comp-Sci major, and then I'm doing architecture. I think this kind of opportunity can only be found at Rice because we're a small school, and you get to meet a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds, and not just backgrounds but majors as well. So I don't just hang out with architecture students all the time. I also get to know comp-sci majors or bio-Es and civies, and so it's a very unique experience to be found at Rice, especially to be able to work on an engineering design project as a freshman. I think that's super cool.
Yellow. Good. Beautiful.
Wow, it was so wonderful to see it complete and see Brooke walking through the ladder. It's the first time I've seen it. We've been working on this project now for 2 semesters. Every week we'd put in maybe 40 to 50 hours a week. There was a couple of weeks recently where we put in 150 hours as a team over the course of 2 to 3 weeks. Having put so much effort into this project, everything paid off when Brooke took those steps.
Thanks for joining us on Inside Rice University. To learn more about Rice, visit rice.edu. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with the latest things going on at Rice. We leave you today with a video about reimagining tomorrow through Rice Engineering. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.